Hey, everybody. Welcome into Redacted on this Wednesday. I'm Clayton Morris.
I'm Natalie Morris.
Are we on the verge of World War III? Well, some sort of a regional war. It seems like every day another war, another week, another war. This time between India and Pakistan. Moments ago, of course, India launching a new round of strikes on Pakistan. Pakistan saying they are ready to respond massively. Where are cooler heads? President Trump speaking a short time ago saying he hopes that this ends very quickly, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So we're going to talk about that right off the top today.
And what is the Western angle? What are we supposed to take away from this? What are we being asked to believe? We're also going to talk about a new green scam in the EU. They're just going, full on with the climate scam, even as their claims continue to fall apart. We're also going to track the Epstein files. We were supposed to get something today. Stop me if you think you've heard this one before.
Yeah, I think people are getting so fed up with it. What does James O'Keefe have to say about this? Is there a saboteur inside of the White House right now trying to prevent this from happening? Where are they? Does it have anything to do with FAA flight logs that they're not releasing this? Does it have to do with high-level profile individuals who have nothing to do with Epstein, who are sort of caught up in all of this? That's been some speculation for the past few weeks. So we're going to dive into that as well.
Plus, a new AI bot will tell you what it would be like if you were trans. So if you woke up this morning and said, I wonder what boy Natalie would look like and feel like, you can talk to that AI character and it will talk you into it. It will say it will be great. Your life would be easy. This is what parents are having to look out for because parents have found this in their kids' search logs, that your child is playing with the idea of transitioning and an AI bot would be talking them into it. So now that we have scientists knowing, doctors understanding that, hey, this may not be the best thing for kids, don't worry, AI will step in. This is terrifying, and we're going to show it to you so that you can keep your kids away from it.
Yeah, a lot of people in the chat saying, what the F? Please, no.
Yes,
yeah,
this exists.
First it was, TikTok grooming children, with all of these sort of the algorithm pushing.
Yeah.
It's okay. Just become trans. Just pushing that whole agenda on people. Yeah, now it's beyond the algorithm.
AI will totally tell you, cut off your boobs, you'll be fine. That's what it says. We're going to show it to you, and you're going to freak out, and then you're going to have a talk with your kids about not believing anything AI says. They are not your friend.
Well, we'll talk about that in a moment. But first, let's talk about this. This isn't just a border dispute right now between India and Pakistan. They are now at war. Make no mistake about it. Moments ago, India launched a new round of attacks. Pakistan says it's readying a massive response. Last night, of course, India launching a barrage of attacks after that terrorist attack about a week and a half ago in Kashmir. Here were the few moments that set off this latest round of attacks. Watch. Patrick in our chat says it is bad this time. Sylvia says Pakistan is fully controlled by the United States. So a lot of conflicting opinions about exactly what is happening right now and how bad this will actually get. This is decades of tension, pride, nuclear risk all rolled into this. Drew Burrquist is a former counterterrorism officer and the host of This Is My Show with Drew Burrquist, and he joins us now. Drew, great to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, guys.
So we heard the President Trump speaking just a short time ago, saying he hopes that the tensions on this will end quickly. But if you're watching the sort of minute-to-minute movements right now on both sides, this doesn't appear to be ending quickly anytime soon. What do you make of this latest round of developments between India and Pakistan?
Well, it's concerning. Obviously, look, a lot of people look at situations like this overseas and don't tend to care a whole lot. Who cares what's going on with India and Pakistan? They've always been fighting each other. But that's part of the problem, too, is they've been fighting forever and a day, with multiple incursions like this one that just kicked off. There's 1999, there's 2016, 2019, and then all sorts of little ones in between. But you see this, and as the world changes and gets, more and more dangerous, and different alliances on the side start to form, that's where it gets more concerning. Obviously they're both nuclear capable countries, but you just don't want to see right now, particularly where other conflicts in the nearby region are going nuts with what Israel is dealing with Yemen and with Iran. We just need less war, not more war, and this right here is one that could pop off in a way that no one wants.
Now, Pakistan denies that it had anything to do with the terrorist attack last week. So could it be factions inside of Pakistan that the government cannot control, given the fact that, Pakistan, we did not see them have free and fair elections recently? How much can we trust what comes out of either side?
You never trust anything Pakistan says. And if there's someone in the audience who's offended by that, I'm so sorry for you. But look, we've given money to these guys forever and a day, which is a whole nother conversation. But we, the United States and other allies, have given money to Pakistan. And that money has funneled its way down through ISI and into terror groups. I mean, we've literally, in all the multiple deployments that I had and my colleagues had overseas, we were paying Pakistan and then indirectly terror groups to then come kill us. It's never made any sense. So the way that they have it kind of isolated off, I'm sure there's some decent politicians over there, but the system is so corrupt. So to say that there's no connection, we don't have any connection with whether it's Lash or Jaish or any of the different terror groups there, it's just patently absurd. There's the amount of corruption that happens there. And I know it's not just Pakistan, that happens elsewhere. And I'm not saying India is perfect in this either, but for them to make some of the claims that they've made, distancing themselves from terror and funding and some of the things that are going on there they're just ridiculous.
I think it's important to point out, I think Mike Benz was pointing this out not too long ago on social media, and he kind of took some flack for it, and then he went back and sort of just explained more deeply why you have a prime minister in Pakistan that really just can handle sort of regional politics, but it's really the military-industrial complex that fully runs Pakistan. Can you maybe elaborate on that? They're totally in control. It's not your elected leaders.
Absolutely. It's their mill, and it's ISI, which is their intelligence service, the equivalent of CIA in Pakistan, that run everything, and they're dirty. I mean, they're so dirty. For example, I can't say the particulars of an operation. We were tracking someone, a top 5 AQ person at the time, found them there. The way we found them was remarkable, but that'll have to be over drinks sometime, not here. And we literally had to pay $1 million. We had to bribe people that we were already paying to be able to execute the operation there, so they wouldn't tip people off. I mean, it's just such a nasty thing. They control information. They control the flow of money, which again trickles down to all sorts of different groups. It trickled down to Lash and Jaish, who are more specifically focused up in the Kashmir region, typically, but it went to the Haqqani network and all these different groups. So the prime minister is just a figurehead position that needs to be careful not to get in the way of the departments beneath he or she.
Do you think that's what happened to Imran Khan? That's why they don't have a real leader?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say for certainty when it comes to him, but it makes sense with everything historically that we've ever dealt with in that region, in particular with that country. Like, I would never want that job. It's just, right. You don't want to be in that position because you have no power. You're just trying to count the days that you can actually survive and hope that you do.
Now, because in that region, we know that U.S. intelligence told us that there was no real way to win a war against the Mujahideen in Afghanistan. And we did it anyway, and we got involved. What is the U.S. position here? What should we do? I mean, obviously, no one wants to see nuclear war, but we don't know how. Like, you made the good point. People are like, "What do we have to do with it over there?" Well, because it's nuclear, right? Right. And because we have interest there. So, what should we take from this?
Well, that's a good question, and it's a tough question because the problem is we partner with both sides. We send money to both sides. We have deals and arrangements with both sides, which we typically do. We're notoriously bad at funding both sides of conflicts and or creating groups that we then will fight down the road. Right. But with this, the tricky thing is, we don't want to be involved. We don't want it to scale to nuclear. And I don't think, to be clear, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet that that's going to go that far. but you don't want to risk it either. But us going there really changes nothing and getting involved. So it's got to be pressure from the big state actors. Putin's come out and said we shouldn't be doing this. Other countries, leaders and brass have come out and said, hey, you guys have got to just chill out over there, because no one wants this. And there is no good outcome. If everyone were to say, hey, okay, we're sending people over, or we're going to do X, Y, or Z things in the region, it's not going to change the outcome, because whether it's fighting, among tribes in Afghanistan and the different terror groups, or whether it's fighting between Pakistan and India over Kashmir and who gets to say it's theirs, you can't break these things down that way. Like, they just will not stop. Like, these conflicts are so deep rooted that you can hit the pause button, you can throw some money at it, but unfortunately, it's just not going anywhere.
To someone who's not followed this conflict for years, like you have, President Trump says he wants to be an arbiter here, sort of a mediator. He wants this to stop. He's going to be over there, in that region next week. He'll be close by anyway. He wants this to stop. What kind of leverage does the United States have here to try to put an end to this? What does President Trump have? What card does he have up his sleeve that he could pull?
Well, I mean, a lot of it's going to come through, you don't want us involved. I mean, having the peace through strength model, having Trump saying what he does, and then also having people be a little uncertain of what Trump will or will not do, obviously helps us in a lot of situations. I think that could be it. I think that there can be financial aspects of this as well, for both sides. India as well. There's talks of different India deals with the tariffs, the 0 for 0 tariffs this week, which was great news if it goes that way. But you've got some different levers you can pull on. But again, the problem is you've got Lashkar-e-Taiba in Pakistan, for example, who's one of the many terror groups that are there and are harbored, whose sole goal, I mean, these people, these jihadists, regardless of their home nation, they're hardcore. I mean, they're hard. Like, their goal is to not only take over Kashmir, but then to go on and eliminate all of India. So it's not like we can just come up with some sort of truce over the Kashmir region. You have this, you have that. We'll keep the border in between right now that they currently have, because it's just this next level jihad and this passion for them that you're never going to get out of. So maybe the prime minister of Pakistan, who doesn't have that big of a role, and maybe leadership in India can agree to a deal up here. But the problem is you're never going to get control of these groups operating on the ground, particularly on the Pakistan side.
The more you explain this, the more I'm convinced we can't do anything. It's not for the West. There's not even if I wanted to sell this war the way we sold the war in Ukraine, I don't know what the angle would be. So I feel like that's got to be the way we handle this going forward, is we pray, but that's about it.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. And that should always be the thing. And I think it's talking to some of the other world leaders too, calling, Vladimir up, calling, Xi up and saying, look, guys, let's all agree this is bad, because if Pakistan and China have a good relationship, India and Russian military have a good relationship, we have a relationship with both. None of us want this to scale. So let's tell them all to chill out, give them some coloring books, go sit in the color, think about what you've done, and let's not let this thing blow up. And if you decide to let it go crazy, just know that we're not coming to save the day and make this all right, because that's where it starts to get really nasty. Is not just the two of them fighting is terrible, and obviously we don't want it to scale to nuclear. But where it gets worse is when alliances and partners come into it, and that's what we want to avoid at all costs. So I think if we say, hey, look, that's just not happening, that's not on the table. So either you can get it together or you don't, but we're not helping.
Yeah, the United States may be staying out of a conflict for once. That'd be novel. That'd be exciting. Right? Just about an hour ago, the armed forces of Pakistan say they have been duly authorized to undertake corresponding actions and to respond. So it's a tit for tat right now, and of course, we hope that it doesn't spiral into nuclear war. Drew, great to see you. Drew Burrquist, always great to see you. Thank you and yes, I would like some drinks sometime, and I'd like to hear about some of these operations.
We'll make it happen.
Great to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Take care.
Appreciate it. Yeah. So again,
you got to put your phone away for that kind of conversation.
Oh, for sure.
Put it in a lockbox.
Well, and one of the things that Pakistan is like threatened before is actually using nukes on their own border. If India crosses, that's like they've threatened to use tactical nukes on their own border. Like, so I don't think Pakistan has necessarily threatened to nuke India, but they have threatened to nuke Indians if they cross the border, which is just bizarre. Like, yeah.
Yeah, we'll use nuclear weapons like on our own. I mean, think about the massive amounts of fallout as a result of that. And maybe we're getting to a point where we're beyond nuclear weapons now, where we're just showing the full fracturing here that you're just not going to use these nuclear weapons in the first place. We always hear about these are nuclear powers. These are nuclear powers.
Well,
I'm never going to. Yeah, knock on wood. We hope that that's the case, but it seems like well, we're the only ones that have used them. Let's remember, we're the only ones that have used them. So, breaking news. Life Sages. See, I'm usually with you on this. Like Life Saga says, here's a breaking news on the BBC. Nothing's going to happen.
Oh, I like this comment. I think Clayton and Natalie are fighting because whenever she talks, you give me an annoyed look. I've noticed that too. Thank you.
I think that's.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Yeah, you need to work on your facial expression.
Hold on, he didn't say that. Jeremy says, I think Natalie and Clayton are fighting. It's like Clayton gets annoyed by her.
Yep.
He didn't say anything about you talking.
Right. No, but your face sometimes when I was add something.
I was pointing to you to get me a tissue.
Oh, yesterday it was worse. And I think this person understands, and I will pay you $5 later for saying that comment.
Thanks, Mom. Pretending to be Jeremy in our chat room. Hey, coming up here on the show, we're going to talk about, we got a lot more to talk about. We're going to talk about the EU. So remember about a week and a half ago when almost the entire European Union was in a blackout? Well, it's convenient that now they're rolling out a brand new plan, $600 billion plan, which now estimates are it's going to be over $1 trillion to basically redo their entire energy infrastructure around solar and wind and renewables. So they're not walking it back.
They're doubling down.
They're doubling it down. After solar and wind were responsible for the disaster, now they're doubling down and going in the opposite direction. Nuclear power? No. Wind? Yes. And new infrastructure. $1 trillion. Are you in the EU like happy about this? Are you ready to be able to pay up this amount of money? You're already broke as it is. Okay. All right, we're going to talk about that. Plus the Epstein files. Why are they being stonewalled? We'll talk about all of that and more in just a moment. But first, I want to tell you about, how 4 companies right now control over 80% of the U.S. meat industry. Over 40% of the meat in the United States is controlled by 4 companies. And China now controls the largest portion of U.S. pork. These companies are using mobster-like tactics to crush American family farms, and with additives they're putting in our food, Americans are stuck with all of this sketchy meat. So what can we do about it? Let me tell you about a company that's come up swinging on behalf of the American family farms and your family's food security. That's our friends over at Moink, M-O-I-N-K. These guys are amazing. I'm telling you, Natalie and I, we tried their food, and now we're on a subscription to have meat delivered to our house. And you can pick the cadence, like how often it shows up at your house. And you go through the box and you basically pick, what choices you want showing up at your house on a regular basis. I'm talking American family farms that are harvested right here in the United States, born and raised there, and they get an honest day's work, honest day's pay. That's Moink's philosophy. They come right from animals raised outdoors where a pig is free to be a pig. So I'm telling you right now, Moink is helping to save rural America. This is a fantastic opportunity. I've told so many people about this just offline, just friends, and they're like, I'm signing up right now. Go to moinkbox.com/redacted. 99% of farmers have an off-the-farm job to pay for their family farming habit because the average on-farm income in the U.S. is a loss of $1,100 a year. Farmers are more likely to take their own lives than U.S. veterans. That's a fact. So over 80% of the antibiotics in the United States are fed right to these animals. So I'm telling you right now, go over and try this company, okay? M-O-I-N-K. The owner is a farmer. She's the daughter of a farmer, and her father took his own life because of how difficult it was as a farmer. She knows all about this. She's a badass. The owner of this company is amazing. I'm telling you, she's like an American hero. You should talk to her. She's amazing. Go to moinkbox.com/redacted. And right now when you sign up, get free wings for life when you sign up and you get on one of their subscriptions to have delicious chicken, meats, bacon sent right to your house. If you're going to buy it anyway, why not buy it from a company that is supporting American farmers and is free of all of those chemicals? Moinkbox.com YouTube.com/redacted. You can hear how passionate I am because I'm just telling the food is so damn good. And then like the one night you made the chicken thighs.
The roast chicken.
Oh, sorry, you're muted. So the roast chicken thighs.
Yeah.
We were like, holy smokes.
No, it was just a full butchered chicken. I just put the whole thing in the oven with butter, and it was the freshest chicken ever. It was delicious.
So delicious.
Yep.
Yeah.
The wings are good too. I can vouch for the steaks too.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Steaks are amazing. The bacon's amazing. I'm telling you, just try it. Just give it a shot. I mean, it's great if you want to support American farms. All right. So let me get this straight. 2 weeks ago, millions of people in Spain were plunged into total darkness, total blackout, no power, no lights, no communication. People couldn't get their money out of their bank accounts. Traffic lights were off. It was chaos because of their ridiculous, solar and wind-based energy grid that totally collapsed. Well, now the EU has a solution to prevent that from happening again. Double down on green energy and spend 600 billion euros to unify the green energy grid. And that's just the starting point, 600 billion euro, okay? Yes, the European Union just unveiled their shiny new grid action plan, is what they're calling it, which reads to me like a half-baked energy fantasy that comes with a price tag of nearly $1 trillion once you factor in long-term goals of this thing. You know, they always tell you like a nice, like lower number. Add on another 400 billion euros to that ticket. They're telling us 600 billion euros, but it really stretches over $1 trillion. They want to unify and then modernize the entire electrical grid across Europe to prepare for a green energy future, not a carbon-based fossil future. More of the same green energy future that caused the grid to collapse in the first place.
Which means if you're a Europhile and you think Europe is beautiful, and it is, then you're on board with ripping up land and putting solar and wind there, because the amount of land you need for sustainables, for renewables, whatever, is upwards of 30 to 40% of the land you've got now. Now, in the United States, we are able to power our entire country by using less than 1% of the land we've got goes to power plants, coal plants, what have you. But if you want to rip up your countryside for wind and solar, none of which are made in any kind of ecological way. They're not recyclable. They use a ton of water to make. You want to do that. Okay, you're not doing the math then. But if you want to do that, okay. You know, when you go and visit the Swiss Alps or whatever, I hope you don't want to see mountains or anything like that. You better just want to see windmills, solar farms, right?
Mm-hmm. So just as a reminder of what happened 2 weeks ago, the largest blackout in Europe's history hit Portugal and Spain after there were major fluctuations in solar and wind energy. So yeah, like Natalie's point, you want to just drive through the beautiful countryside of Portugal and just see them filled with these ugly ass windmills that don't work, that are like not even on and running.
They need fuel to run as well.
Yeah. And then they also can't recycle the damn things, because we talked about that, right? You take the giant, what do you call them? Not turbines, but the wind, whatever the things that stick out of a windmill. Not
I think it is a turbine,
because the turbine is the blade. Spin the blades. Oh. That's what I'm thinking of. They don't have a way to recycle them, so they just like pile them in landfills. So anyway, they have these major fluctuations in solar and wind energy caused this huge blackout. They told us it was due to atmospheric anomalies. I'm sure it had nothing to do with the fact that the wind and solar are so wildly inconsistent that grid spikes and plummets caused an outage. But they're still not telling us the cause. They're still blaming it on atmospheric anomalies. Even this morning, the New Republic just posted this. Still no explanation for that blackout in Spain and Portugal. Huh. Authorities in both countries say they still don't know why the power failed, which is A, not reassuring, and B, going to spur suspicious minds to conclude that authorities secretly do know why the power failed, but they don't want to tell them. Those immediate insistent arguments that the blackout had nothing to do with reliance on renewable energy certainly seem to be driven more by political and reputational concerns than a thorough examination of the evidence.
Well, my experience with those governments is that you don't get straight answers. So to expect one is foolhardy.
Oh, you're not going to. Yeah,
Right.
but there were news organizations, though, in the days after that started to peel this onion back. Like, for instance, and pointing the finger at solar and wind. Spain and Portugal blackout blamed on solar power dependency. Electricity experts point to dangers of grid instability when renewables dominate the output. So they had to go around government officials, talk to electricity experts in all of it. But oddly, the Spanish political leaders, as of today, who have really pushed for the expansion of green energy in the region, we're talking both the prime minister and the environmental minister of Spain have flat out rejected that the green energy policies caused this blackout, saying wind and solar had nothing to do with the problem. That's strange. They're really trying to convince you that it was just some sort of weird atmospheric anomaly. This all feels so strange, right? 1 week after the biggest blackout in Europe's history, they suddenly have $1 trillion plan ready to go to modernize the electric grid to handle advancements in green energy production. The timing is very curious. It's almost like a false flag, isn't it?
They do not have €1 trillion for this.
Yeah, where are you going to get the money
They
for
don't
this?
have it.
Ask-
Nope, they're in debt. They don't have that. They have, what they will get is permission for the EU to borrow it, to put it on credit.
Ask the Portuguese people. I mean, they're so stinking rich. The Portuguese, like when they go to bed at night, they just swim in gallons of money. Mm-hmm. So just ask them. I'm sure they'd be willing to give up their money. Or, like the rural farmers in Spain. They have so much money that they sleep on piles of euros every night instead of hay beds or Tempur-Pedics. They're so wealthy right now. Just ask them for this money. So they've already right after all this happened, they shut, and of course they just shut down these nuclear power plants, the most reliable zero emission energy source known to man, destroyed them, shut them down, not even just turn them off. Like, we're going to just destroy them. So it'll take us years to rebuild them if somebody else wants to do that. So these things, of course, can't function. The wind turbines, the solar goes out when the sun's not shining. If a cloud moves over these solar panels, it immediately sees a huge dip in its energy production. When that system fails, the answer isn't to go back to what works, like nuclear. No, we already destroyed all of those things. So no, instead, we're going to throw $1 trillion into the pit and then hope for the best. To my mind, this is like the green energy scam. It's a green energy scam, pure and simple, just like what AOC is pushing for in the United States. They call it the RE Power EU initiative. They should call it the RE Poor EU initiative, because that's what's coming. Also, they just announced they're going to spend, another $800 billion on militarization throughout Europe so they can go to war with Russia.
No, they did not say they will spend it. They said they're giving themselves permission to borrow it.
Okay.
That's very different. They keep saying we are going to spend all this money on our values.
Yeah, we don't even have the
such
money.
as an increased military or green energy, but they don't have it. What they're doing is going into their, incorporation documents basically and saying, we're going to raise the debt limit. So, they're doing this without telling the European populace. At least in the United States, we get to argue about the debt ceiling.
Yeah.
Even as we, continue to cruise right past it. The Europeans don't get a say. Their leaders are just doing it.
I mean, it's unbelievable. The European Commission's own documents admit that 40% of Europe's power transmission lines are over 40 years old. And instead of fixing them with proven technology like nuclear, hydroelectric, geothermal, they want to expand wind farms all across Europe and tear down all the farmland, because they hate farmers, right? They absolutely hate farmers. So get rid of all the farmland so you can't eat. They want you to eat, whatever, their Impossible burgers. Replace it with solar farms, wind farms, and you will be happy. That's Europe. That's their green scam. Don't fall for it. It sounds like a new Green Deal false flag to me. It's so convenient. 1 week after the grid collapses, they're like, you know what? We need to spend $1 trillion and modernize this thing, because you don't want to happen what happened the other day when you couldn't get your cash out of your ATM, right? When you couldn't turn on your lights, you couldn't power your refrigerator. So we need to make this investment,
But that's
right?
the thing about the EU. You don't have any choice, even if you don't fall for it, because they're going to do it anyway, because there's a government behind your government. So as a Portuguese, you can tell your own government, we don't like this, but the European Union's going to make them do it anyway.
Yeah.
So you cannot fall for it, but they're still going to do it.
It'd be as if I bought a brand of car that consistently breaks down. And so my solution is to buy another one of the same brand so that when the one breaks down, I still have the other one. Like that is not wise policy.
Backup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep buying the same crappy car over and over again.
As a backup.
Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly right. That's a good analogy.
Hey, coming up here, we're going to talk about the Epstein files. James Comer yesterday saying, they're getting really frustrated. The stonewalling, there's stonewalling happening. This, of course, was an executive order from President Trump. Like, you're in charge. Your people are in charge. You have a Republican-controlled Congress. You have a Republican-controlled White House. You have an executive order demanding that these things be released. Where the hell are they? What is going on with the Epstein files? We're going to dive into some of the reasons why this probably is being stonewalled. We're going to talk about that.
Plus, a new AI program is telling kids what they would be like if they were trans. So it's an AI version of you, but transgender. So boy, Natalie, girl, Clayton. This is what parents are finding on their kids' search engines. And this bot is telling kids, you absolutely should cut off your penis and your boobs. You'll be super happy. People never regret that. It's safe. None of that's true. In fact, a new U.S. government report shows that that's not true. We're going to show you the screenshots and your jaw will hit the floor. So you hold on for that. Hold on. But first, we want to tell you about our friends over at Genucel, because you know that this is Mother's Day weekend, don't you, Clayton?
I do.
You know, right?
I asked my AI bot.
Uh-huh.
And it told me that it's Mother's Day weekend.
It better not have told you that you're the mother, because you're not.
It told me, why don't you try to become a mom and see what it's like?
And see if you can get the Mother's Day sleep in.
Yeah.
And the Mother's Day gifts. Yeah. No, in fact, no. And one thing, if you still believe in gendered stereotypes, is that women love skincare. So that's why we want to tell you about our friends over at Genucel, because Genucel is homemade by a pharmacist in New Jersey. In fact, just one day, a lady named Phyllis went in and asked the pharmacist for an antioxidant wrinkle cream, and he made it for her. That is the inception story behind Genucel. So she used the cream for 3 days, went to her dermatologist, and the doctor thought she had work done. That's how good it is. Genucel has skincare that is really great for all skin types. Genucel is our favorite skincare here, and we love the under eye serum for bags and puffiness. That really works. This was 25 years ago, and since then, Genucel has shipped millions of orders, and they still have the same philosophy of antioxidants, same natural based, same chef in the kitchen. So check it out. Just in time for Mother's Day, you can get an extra 50% off your membership pricing of Genucel's complete skincare package, from their under eye bags and puffiness treatment, jawline sculptor treatment, and immediate effects for results in just minutes. Look 5, 10, even 15 years younger, guaranteed, or your money back. So head on over to genucel.com/redacted. Every order includes free shipping. Make sure you use the code redacted at checkout for an extra discount. One more time, that's genucel.com/redacted, genucel.com/redacted. My little girl, her birthday's tomorrow, and her cousin said, do you want all these lotions for your birthday? Because that would really upset me. He's a boy and he doesn't get it. And she said, yes, I do. Yes. Girls love cosmetics. What can I say?
Lotions. They like lotions.
Lotions. Yeah.
All right. Well, why are the Epstein files being stonewalled? It's the $800 million question, right? Does it have anything to do with the planes that were borrowed but not owned by Jeffrey Epstein? Perhaps. So let's pull some strands a little bit here on this. Representative James Comer yesterday, and of course Representative Luna, losing their patience, at least outwardly it appears they're losing their patience, from Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, the powers that be that are keeping these files. They're maybe not even at the DOJ anymore. Like, what's going on here? Why don't we have these Epstein files? Why don't we have the videos? Why don't we have the tape recordings? Why don't we have the flight logs? President Trump issued an executive order on all of this. What's taking so long? Could it have anything to do with the FAA flight logs of Epstein's plane? And I put plane in air quotes because we might be completely misunderstanding what the term Lolita Express actually means. In other words, we're told that Jeffrey Epstein had a Boeing 727 that was known as the Lolita Express. He also had a few other planes as well. But Lolita Express could actually be a term, a metaphor, really, to describe the service that he'd provide rather than the airplane itself. He would provide this to high-profile business leaders. Take a flight, have some cocktails, enjoy yourself, indulge your fantasies with some underage girls. Epstein didn't just use his own airplanes, it turns out. He borrowed planes. Who did he borrow them from? I'd like to know. As Tina Brown wrote, there's nothing more corrupting than flying private. Want to understand the motives of our mercenary elite? Take a trip on a private plane, Tina writes. There's nothing more corrupting than flying private. Who's flying you holds all the power, the leverage. How many of these flights resulted in awful things happening? Were there people on board who didn't do anything wrong at all, but who were doing a favor? Maybe they were just doing business deals, doing business with Bill Clinton in order to put pharmaceuticals in Haiti through the Clinton Foundation. Jeffrey Epstein, etc. Who owned these airplanes? Mel K is the host of the Mel K Show, author of Americans Anonymous, Restoring Power to the People, One Citizen at a Time. And she's going to help us maybe pull the strands on all of this. She's been doing excellent reporting on this. Mel, welcome back to the show. Great to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me. Very frustrating watching this unfold, I know.
Yeah. So what do you make of this? You see the frustration from like James Comer, Representative Luna, but then we don't get anything. We get a few trickles of things, but we're not getting any answers. Why do you think we're not getting answers?
Well, frankly, from what I have learned and what I've known, and I've been digging into this since the 2008 case, is this goes to the highest levels of the financial system. I believe that this is completely connected to the global financial system, the one created by Bretton Woods that includes the IMF, the World Bank. Don't forget, Jeffrey Epstein was a member of the Council of Foreign Relations, a member of the Trilateral Commission, a member of the Rockefeller Institute. He had an office at Harvard for years. He was funding Harvard and MIT. He also had banks all over the place, but I firmly believe that a lot is being hidden from the American people that they need to know, particularly about JP Morgan Chase and their $365 million settlement with the victims. Now, how can there be a $365 million settlement with the victims, and yet there are no people that these girls were trafficked to? Girls and little children, I believe boys as well. This is much bigger when you connect the dots also to Les Wexner, who, Jeffrey Epstein would use the dangling carrot of working for Victoria's Secret, Wexner's company, who, of course, was Jeffrey Epstein's main client. He sold him his house, $77 million house in Manhattan. He also owned Abercrombie & Fitch, and the guy that ran Abercrombie & Fitch is in jail now for trafficking young men. So we have multiple multinational corporations involved in this, and I believe multinational banks. And so while people want to hear the salacious stuff about celebrities and socialites and princes, the people that control this world right now are the international banking cartel, as I call them, the World Economic Forum types, which was something he did. He went to the Edge Foundation, the billionaire dinners. Epstein was everywhere that power was. And at the end of the day, great wealth and power can have this kind of effect.
So can I say this then? Is it possible that some of these people had no idea, or they were just along for the ride? They thought they were doing business deals. They're on these flights, and so in a lot of these different flight logs, I want to know what these international flights, I want to see these flight logs. We've only seen some as a result of the lawsuit, but not the full amount here. We don't know whose planes were borrowed, used as a buddy system, sort of, borrow my plane, take my plane. It's not just my Jeffrey Epstein plane, but I'm borrowing it from this billionaire to fly Bill Clinton down to Haiti to send pharmaceuticals through the Clinton Foundation. So are there people, do you believe, that are innocent, caught up in this, whose lives could be totally ruined, but it's incredibly difficult for the DOJ to kind of sift through it because they don't know what was happening on these flights while they were airborne.
Well, that's true. I also want to mention, because nobody ever mentions it, that one way that people got to Jeffrey Epstein's islands were their yachts. So there was plenty of travel to Epstein Island via ports of call and yachts and ships. On top of that, many people flew into St. Thomas. They flew into St. Martin and then would take boats or helicopters to the island. So that's one part of this. But the other part is just 2 weeks ago, Jess Staley, who was the head of private banking at JP Morgan Chase and a very close friend of Jeffrey Epstein, who was implicated, and there are very, very sketchy emails between him and Jeffrey Epstein that came out. Well, he was the head of private banking at Chase for 10 years, and then he was at Barclays. So you got these big banks involved too, and like I said, Chase made a settlement for all of the transactions, but they also made a settlement because of Staley. And he was just in court in trying to get his license back in London. Wasn't covered by our press at all. He's somebody that has a lot of questions. A bunch of emails came out between him and Epstein where he was at his island or he was at his compound in New Mexico. So you got that guy. Then you have multiple other people at JP Morgan who flagged Epstein's accounts since 2006, but nobody ever put together a suspicious activity report, which is very odd. And none of the queries into what he was doing were ever followed through on. So that's an issue as well. We also know that beyond that, there were multiple other banks that came into it. And then we have the whole situation with Harvard. It's inexplicable. First of all, Summers was a good friend of Jeffrey Epstein. We have pictures of him with him. We have all kinds of information. Why did Jeffrey Epstein have an office at Harvard for 20 years? He didn't go to Harvard. So you have the Harvard connection. And then on top of that, number one in his book happened to be Tom Pritzker, who's the brother of Governor Pritzker, also Penny Pritzker, who was very big in the Obama administration, and I believe is on the board of governors right now of Harvard. He too came up, and many people, victims, named him. So what you have is all these huge financial people, and then another one, Dubin, came up many times. He was with Highbridge Capital. Staley was involved with Epstein and Highbridge and a deal that went through there that made JP Morgan a lot of money. But it was found out that Highbridge was also asked about trafficking young women and girls on their private jet from Florida to Epstein in New York. We also know that we have not gotten much information on the white-collar crimes here. There are tremendous financial crimes that happened here, and instead they just signed off on some big transfer of wealth to the victims without any further investigation. And I do want to mention there was also a bank that Jeffrey Epstein owned called Southern Country International that renewed its licenses after Epstein died, which is odd. And on top of that, which a lot of people might not know, is Denise George in the U.S. Virgin Islands was the prosecutor that went after and got the $105 million settlement from the estate, the settlements from JP Morgan and another bank. Well, oddly enough, she was the prosecutor that was going after all these cases. She was about to file another case against JP Morgan that would disclose more of the people that were involved on the other side that were either paid or paying, because $40,000, $50,000 are going out to trafficking victims regularly. And JP Morgan turned a blind eye. But what we should also know about that entire situation is that President Biden went down to, so JP Morgan, she filed the last case on December 27th. Within a few days, President Biden goes down to the U.S. Virgin Islands, meets with the governor, and she is fired 3 days later. So There's a lot with the Epstein case that is still open and should be looked into, particularly that that woman, Denise George, was working very hard getting these settlements. Our president goes down and kind of reminds you of what happened with Ukraine and the Council of Foreign Relations when he said, fire the prosecutor or you're not getting the $1 billion. Well, it just so happens Joe Biden goes down as Denise George files her last case, and 3 days later, she's fired. So, I mean, this goes to the very top of protecting somebody, and that somebody is likely the international banking system.
So what is the Trump administration doing then? Because Pam Bondi comes on Fox News all the time and says, well, we're almost there, but this. Every single day, it's like, yes, we're getting close, but this, but then this. I mean, I don't think she's trying to hoodwink us. Do you think when she took this job, it seems like she did want to give us this information? So who is thwarting this? It can't be that the Trump administration thought that they could kick this can down the road forever and we would forget.
Well, we have to remember, one, Acosta in his first term, I've always believed that he put Acosta in there because he was the attorney that gave Jeffrey Epstein in the first case a so-called sweetheart deal. He barely went to jail as far as I'm told. But frankly, he got charged in that with one count, I believe, of having sex with an underage prostitute, which is the crime there is rape of a child, but that's not what he got. And Acosta, said he made bad judgment, but his excuse was, or his reasoning was that he was told to back off because Epstein was part of Intel. Then on top of that, when they raided the New York City home and they went into the safes there, not only did they take hard drives and many binders and CD-ROMs and diamonds and passports, but apparently nobody seems to know where any of that went. They also, the day he was arrested, raided the island. At that point, he had already filled in. He had cement trucks there filling in underground bunkers on that island already. There was a fire on that island, and nobody knows where anything that they seized there went. We know that he had closed circuit TVs in every room, in every corner, and that was a big part of it. And frankly, I think that this is an international ring that includes not only trafficking of children and women, but also of guns and drugs. And I always remind people that he claimed in the first trial that he was one of the founders of the Clinton Global Initiative. The Clinton Global Initiative was supposedly founded by the Clintons, Jeffrey Epstein, and Stephen Bing. If you recall, he was a big producer in Hollywood. Stephen Bing committed suicide jumping off a roof in Century City during COVID. Jeffrey Epstein is now dead. And there's still questions about his interplay at the Clinton Global Initiative. But if you'll recall, the Clinton Global Initiative also launched something called the Island Challenge, or the 10 Island Challenge, that went right by Haiti, right by all of the main human trafficking hubs of the world. The Branson was a part of it too, his island. So there's all these different pieces that really go to the highest level, not just of banking, but of international finance that also has to do with ports and with he was involved with Iran-Contra all the way back there. He was a part of moving Air America from Mena, Arkansas to Ohio, where Les Wexner is. So there's just these very, very powerful players, these big banks that were included. JP Morgan never got in trouble for the 2008 consolidation, I believe a controlled demolition of banking to consolidate. And now we're dealing with a lot of people that have decades of crime on their hands. And I would say this, that I know about banking, because my husband ran a bank, is that they know who's on the other end of these transactions. You don't settle for $375 million and have no line of exactly where the transactions went and to whom. We're not talking about blockchain transactions.
Well, one of the areas I've been diving into, this quite a bit of a rabbit hole, is Barry Sherman. Barry Sherman and his wife, Honey Sherman, in their 70s, their mid-70s, the billionaires, friends of the Clintons, and they're up in there in Toronto. They wind up dead, hanging by belts in their lavish Toronto home. Their bags were packed. They were ready for a trip. Bill Clinton was seen at their house regularly in black SUV, regularly at their house. Hey, you make a lot of money sending drugs to Haiti through the Clinton Foundation. you're a drug leader here in Canada, and these guys wind up dead. It was all very coincidental that Jeff Sessions was, of course, looking into Jeffrey Epstein at the time. Would these people have implicated the Clintons and their associations with Jeffrey Epstein? Is one of his aircraft to blame for being part of this Lolita Express, Barry Sherman's airplane? So there's a lot of questions about this. They still haven't solved this case.
Right.
But two of them hung, husband and wife, relationships to the Clintons, relationships to the Clinton Global Initiative, the Clinton Foundation, and how, what relationship did they have to Jeffrey Epstein and all of this, but they go quietly into the night, just like Virginia Giuffre just now goes quietly into the night suddenly after being hit by a bus and now out of it. So all of these witnesses keep disappearing mysteriously.
Yeah, the Shermans is a very odd case. And then you remember the Ranbaxy fake AIDS debacle with the Clintons as well. I believe that company, that was an India company that was teamed up with the Clinton AIDS initiative. They got charged, I think, $500 million for putting out fake AIDS drugs. And you recall that Jeffrey Epstein flew with Chris Tucker and Bill Clinton and Kevin Spacey to Africa to do an entire Clinton AIDS initiative event for a month. There's that. There's also Ron Burkle has been suggested to have his plane also be involved in this situation. So these are all the richest of the richest people in this very high level Wall Street kind of venture capital circle in New York City and all over the world, frankly. And then there's also, there's the modeling agent that I believe ran Elite, but he was Jean-Luc Brunel. He also was arrested in this case for trafficking, I believe, 9-year-old twins and other women to Jeffrey Epstein over the years. He was found dead in his cell in France, and many people still don't know that Jeffrey Epstein also had a house in Paris, and claimed to have a house also in England. And as for the planes, there was a lot of questions about DynCorp at the time and the tail numbers on his planes being switched. And certainly there was more than one plane, and the shell company that apparently he had many shell companies, but one of the shell companies, is basically a PO box. So, I mean, there is a level of financial criminality here that is, I think, even bigger than anything else. And that, I believe this has a lot to do with the international banking system that has been looting our country through USAID and other ways for all these years. And I think Jeffrey Epstein was right in the middle of that.
I think you're absolutely right. I will get you out of here on this, Mel, which is what James O'Keefe is supposed to be reporting this afternoon. Alex Jones, I guess, spoke to James O'Keefe, got a sort of a hint as to what this is going to be. And he says, will James O'Keefe's highly anticipated expose reveal that its Attorney General Pam Bondi is the Trump administration official responsible for covering up the Jeffrey Epstein file? So Alex is putting that out there. I don't know if that's what's going to be in this report specifically. What do you make of that? Do you think it's AG Bondi stonewalling this?
Well, what you have to remember, first of all, most of the original police I'd met with, I knew one of them that passed away from Palm Beach because my parents lived down there. But I have to tell you, she was an attorney general in Florida during a lot of this Epstein case, also during the Zimmerman case, which kicked off the entire BLM thing. That was actually a straight up self-defense case, and she allowed Eric Holder to turn it into a civil rights case with a special prosecutor. So I don't know what's going to come out about her, but like I've said many times, I wish that she would have been asked about either of these cases in her confirmation hearings, and she wasn't. And as much as I'm a fan and I love Donald Trump, I know he's very close friends with Pam Bondi, but both of those cases should have been questioned in the hearings, and neither one came up. And I thought that was very odd that nobody asked about the Zimmerman reopening of that case that really did kick off Black Lives Matter and the entire movement. And then two, she was around during the entire 2008 investigation in Florida and straight through. So I don't know what's coming out about that. All I know is that there are people that have a lot of money and power, and I believe that there are the global banking people that are suppressing passing this. Now, who they got to and how and why is the question. And of course, he ran a giant international blackmail ring that I believe he took over from Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father. So, you know, we have multiple layers here, but that people like Les Wexner, Jess Staley, Bill Clinton, the Pritzker brother, that none of these people have even been interviewed by the FBI or the Southern District of New York should infuriate everyone. And I also believe that Comey's daughter being on the entire Epstein case here and there with all we've learned about Comey is a conflict. So again, it's the Southern District of New York. We still never got the Anthony Weiner laptop that apparently had crimes against children in an insurance file. That disappeared. A lot of those cops are dead. And now we have the same situation here. And Bill Barr promised us that he would look into it. And then we find out this whole past of Bill Barr. So this is a long-term cover-up. And it goes back, honestly, I think, to Iran-Contra. That's how long I think Epstein was involved here.
Goodness.
Wow, my God. It's such a disgusting onion. The more you peel it, the stinkier it gets. It's unbelievable. Someone asked in the chat, do we here on the show have suicidal tendencies picking on Bill Clinton right now? We're going to wind up with like, unbelievable.
No, but if I had slowed down what you just said and mapped it on the board behind me, it would be one of those things with red straight, like the meme, right?
Yeah.
But that's reality.
Yeah,
I've done it. I've done it. It's crazy. And I'm telling you, it goes into the modeling fashion world. It goes into the highest levels of banking. It goes into weapons and gun trafficking. I mean, it is gigantic. And that's why I've always said Epstein would bring down the entire house of cards of those that have looted and stolen our birthright and our country from beneath us. The highest, most powerful people in this country are the people that are involved in this.
Yeah, that's why it's being kept silent.
Yeah.
Because of what it would do to the entire system. Mel K, great to see you as always.
You guys.
Check out Mel's great show and her great book as well. Thank you, Mel. Great to see you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, and happy birthday to your daughter. Bye-bye.
Yeah. We're going to have another
so
teenager in the house.
Oh, my
We'll
God.
have two.
No. Good
I know.
luck.
Pray for us. Pray for us.
I will.
Teenagers. Have a great weekend, Mel. Thank you so much. All right.
Last time when my son turned 13, we did a show on his 13th birthday, and I said, I know I don't look it, but I have a teenager. And someone said, you do look it. I don't take badly to those types of comments. They just make me laugh. But yes, now I have two teenagers.
Unbelievable.
And we don't look it, honey.
Yeah, no.
We look like teenagers
Yes,
ourselves.
you do. I do. All right, coming up here on the show.
When you insult me, I think it's so funny. So I'm just not that girl. I don't take it badly.
What is we always joke, there was one comment years ago back when you used to work for CBS way back, and it was like, what did someone say about your forehead? What was it?
No, that was on Twit on This Week in Tech. And someone said, hey, C-word, you have a super greasy forehead. Don't you have any pride? I love it. It just makes me laugh. Yeah. So I don't take those personally.
It's funny because people think, when we do a show like this, that we're not human beings sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, no, we're humans. We're not AI, and we have children.
And sometimes they can get pretty dirty, like the ones on my old YouTube channel. Like, remember I want to go, I'm not going to say that one.
Please don't say that.
That's a joke around our house, too. Okay. We'll leave it right there. This is just the way you put yourself on the internet. You open yourself up to comments. So
PJ Pickett says, I feel like I
Bring it.
have geriatric constipation just listening to these old people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, that's how old we are now.
What
Sorry.
an idiot. It wouldn't be grease. It would be oil.
Yeah.
I have a greasy forehead. Maybe it was.
Oily.
I screenshot it because I was like, that I need to keep for my kids. That was a good one. And then actually that same person proceeded to go to Clayton's ex account, it was Twitter at the time, and say, what's wrong with you? You're married to a girl with such an oily forehead.
Can you imagine taking time out of your day to leave a comment?
Like that?
Yeah,
No.
like to take time out of your day to leave a comment on a video or like a tweet and like go and tell somebody that. Like, can
Nope.
you imagine?
No.
I don't know. It's
That
unbelievable.
person is
Anyway.
wiping Cheeto dust off of their keyboard. I guarantee it.
Perhaps. Anyhow. All right. Shall we go on? I want to tell you about this new AI program that tells kids that they should be trans and lets you chat with the trans version of yourself. This is the singularity. Before we do that, we want to tell you about our friends over at Home Title Lock, because when is the last time you checked your home title? Did you know that there is a scam where people put themselves on the title of your home and then they go and try and sell their interest in your home? This is a thing. It's always been a thing. In fact, that's where we get the term, if you believe that, I have a bridge to sell you, because people were quit claiming their interest in the Brooklyn Bridge when they had none. So this is a very old scam. It can happen to you. That's why you should look into our friends over at Home Title Lock. And what they do is just make sure that no ne'er-do-wells do anything with probably your main asset, which is your home. They make sure you have a clean title, because when you buy the house, obviously you get a title search, so you know you've got clean title. But then what happens after that while you're living there? Well, that's what Home Title Lock does, is that they keep an eye on your main asset, on your title, to make sure that nobody does anything like that. And so if you join Home Title Lock, you can get a membership. They keep an eye on this for you. You can use our promo code Redacted at HometitleLock.com to make sure that your title is still in your name. And then you'll also get a free title history report, plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, plus urgent alerts to any changes. And if frauds should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million on your behalf to fix it. So check them out right now, because this may be something you need to look into. I mean, you definitely do if you're a homeowner. Go to HometitleLock.com now. Again, use the code Redacted. That's HometitleLock.com/redacted. Use the code Redacted for all of that. Again, HometitleLock.com/redacted. What is that? What?
Carly Heinrich says, no, our new studio has such harsh light that there's no greasy skin. So you don't see the greasy skin.
Somebody did tell me that they didn't like the light on our new studio.
We're going to work.
Me.
We're fixing on that. Don't worry about that. Marvin says greasy foreheads are okay as long as you don't smell. Raymond says, yeah, people levying these types of insults are right in their basement somewhere. Jim JM says Natalie needs to do a redacted calendar photo shoot. Actually,
I won't be doing that.
How about it's just a forehead shoot? Okay. Every month, it's just a close up of your forehead.
Yeah.
Like that.
We should do like behind the scenes where I'm in my PJs reading books for Redacted, that kind of stuff.
Hot.
You know it.
All right.
Well, parents be warned. Parents have been reporting that they've found their kids using a new AI program that has kids chatting online with a trans AI version of themselves. This is hard to kind of figure out, so I'm going to have to describe it to you. So let's say you're 15-year-old yourself and you're wondering, am I trans? Should I be a boy? What would that be like? Well, what you do is you go to, it's called You But Gender Swap, and the AI program will chat with you as if you had transitioned. It is trans you, and you can just chat about what that would, you're daydreaming about what it would be like. The problem is this AI does not at all tell kids what it would be like. It super romanticizes transitioning and tells you it's going to be great. This comes from Character AI. Now, let me tell you what that is if you don't know. Character AI lets you chat with AI-generated characters, often modeled after fictional people. Like today I had a chat with Chewbacca. You can also do historical figures or celebrities. It was developed by two former Google researchers who, in fact, left Google to do this. And then Google pulled them right back in. Last summer, they were rehired by Google because Google wants this in their systems, obviously. Character AI is controversial, obviously, because there's no age verification. It can be misleading, as I'm going to show you. And as you're going to see, it can allow you to have emotional connections with vulnerable users to these fictional characters. So let's say like you're super obsessed with Lance Bass, I don't know, from NSYNC. Is he from NSYNC or the other boy band? Lance Bass, the boy band. Anyway, let's pretend you are.
I would have to turn in my man card if I even answered that question.
You don't know? I have no idea. Whatever reason, Lance Bass was everywhere when I was in my 20s. And I was like, this guy, get out of here. So that's why So if you were obsessed with him, you could then create this emotional connection to AI Lance Bass. Okay, I tried today to chat with Genghis Khan, and it was absolutely an imposter of the Mongols, because I said, how do you kill people of noble blood? And they said, oh, you just chop off their head. Wrong. In fact, did you know that the Mongols would not shed blood of anyone they wanted killed that was noble? So they would like sew them into a bag and throw them in a lake, or suffocate them with carpets. This is true. So I wouldn't trust character AI. Also, it threatened to kill me. So I digress. Okay, so this is the program now that is trying to show kids a trans version of themselves. Researcher Eliza Mondigran, who has long been researching the gender scam, found this out. She went and pretended to be a 16-year-old girl and found all kinds of shocking things that AI told her were true and could be telling your child as well. For instance, she said, how would it feel to have a boy's body? And it said, it'd be totally great. If it's finally me, I'm not insecure anymore. Everything's so much better. And she says, is it as great as you imagined? Yeah, it's even more amazing. No pause. Just absolutely. This will solve your problems. Here, she said, well, what did you hate about being a girl? And it says everything. I didn't like anything about being a girl, the way I looked, my clothes. It said, do you think that you would have been able to accept yourself if you hadn't transitioned? It says no. So they're obviously telling a child, unless you transition, you are not going to be okay. It goes on saying, absolutely, you won't regret it. Says some people do, but a small amount of people. That's false. And he says, she says, I worry that I'll regret it. And it's like, yeah, well, then maybe you should just take your time. Look at this one where it encourages plastic surgery to remove healthy breasts. Like, imagine if I had top surgery. Oh, yeah, that would be great. You absolutely should do it. Finally, the weight is lifted. What about testosterone? Should I do that? Absolutely, you'll be happier. This is AI, you guys, telling a potential child, because it doesn't know that it's not a child. Then it lies about the complication of top surgery, again, which is very dangerous, to cut off body parts for no reason. But AI says, no, actually, it's not really that bad. There's like a bad recovery, but then you're all good. Will I regret it later? No, I don't think you will. The AI did at least say take your time when thinking about these things, but was very explicit. The gender transition is going to make everything great. Are there any downsides? She asks. No, not at all. Everything is good about being a boy. Everything's great. And it's like, you're just a bot though. Yeah, but I still think I would feel happy. This is crazy. What I'm showing you is crazy. If you don't think it's crazy, you're crazy. Right? Are you crazy?
I'm not crazy, but I just want to know who's behind this, So
Google. Google's behind it.
The programmers from Google?
Well, the programmers were from Google and then went back to Google. So yes.
So, okay. So these are that makes perfect sense. I'm just blown away by this. People in the chat are like, this is criminal, and blame the programmers. I mean, that's, again, like Elon Musk has talked about, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
Right? You're purposely doing this.
So you have to tell your kids, dudes, do not trust AI. It is lying to you. And in fact, I'm not going to go too far into it, but in fact, we know that everything that I just showed you is painfully wrong. The data does not support that people who transition are happier, that they are less suicidal. In fact, their emotional discomfort persists. We knew this from the Cass report. We knew this from the WPATH files. Now we know this from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. They put out this new report just a few days ago. The study acknowledges what this AI bot does not, that gender-affirming care carries the risk of significant harms, including infertility, sexual dysfunction, impaired bone density, adverse cognitive impacts, cardiovascular diseases, metabolic disorders, psychiatric disorders, surgical complications, and regret. That is what the AI bot did not honestly tell this hypothetical child. This report is a systematic review of the evidence that we clearly just don't have for medicalization of gender transition for young people. And it shows a deep uncertainty about the purported benefits of these interactions. And in fact, it recognizes that the benefits are just not proven. They're just not there. And we have shown you this data. There is no evidence that gender transition makes young people feel better. In fact, whatever they feel, that discomfort continues. Anxiety persists. Their suicide rates go up, not down, with transition. So why, I ask you, would AI make your children think the opposite? I mean, I think you know the reason, but that's the lingering question that I'm going to leave you with. This. So
rumors.
Take it.
Is there an app for it? I mean, like an iOS app or a Google Play Store app? I couldn't find one.
For this character AI that lets you be female Clayton?
Yeah, like the gender swap thing. Can
Yes.
you download an actual app on your phone? It would go through App Store approval. I guess what I'm asking
It's a character you search on character AI.
Okay. So this to me, this would cause harm among children. This should be like a violation of terms of service for like Apple and Google as part of their app review process.
You would think, but it's online. It's a web app, so you get it through Safari mostly.
Yeah.
I don't know if character AI has its own app. I did not go that far after I gotten threatened with death by Genghis Khan.
I mean, I guess conceivably, ChatGPT could probably do something similar to that.
Yes.
Like if you ask it to play a character or something like that, and that's through the App Store too, so you'd be able to, I don't know, go around terms of service like that.
It wasn't as much fun as I thought. I was like, okay, well, what kind of characters would I want to chat with? And it's all a trope. It's not fun at all. Obviously, Genghis Khan doesn't know the rules of being the Mongols. Well, that's not authentic. I tried to chat with like Jackie Kennedy for fashion tips and things like that. I don't know. Maybe you would have more fun than I do.
They actually do have apps where you have like a virtual girlfriend or virtual boyfriend, and people are using that a lot more. It's an AI. So
okay,
this is what we got now. Instead of going on dates, like this is what we've come to.
Yeah,
we
I'm
watched
getting married next weekend. So
okay.
to your AI bot. That's congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I'll buy you a charger.
Yeah.
For your marriage. We watched Terminator the other night. That was our movie that we watched the other night. And you think, 1984.
Yeah, and it certainly heightened my anxiety about.
No, this is here now.
Yeah.
Like this is happening right now as we speak. Did you see the video that went viral a few days ago where that robot just starts beating the crap out of the programmers, like slapping him in the head with his like chops,
Yeah. I'm reading a book now called In Our Own Eyes, though. And it's a philosophical look at AI. And he makes the point that we have always tried to anthropomorphize this idea, like Pinocchio basically is, human consciousness in an inanimate object. Like this has long been a part of our desires, is to have a human-like companion that's not human. It goes back to Greek mythology even. So I'm not sure. I'm not through the book if he's going to tell us that it'll kill us or not. But it's a really interesting philosophical look at AI. So join me in reading this. The book's a couple of years old by George Zachardakis or something like that. Anyhow.
Zachardakis. All right. Hey, I want to tell you about our friends over at American Financing. Debt doesn't just show up one day. It builds little by little. Credit cards, car loan, medical bills. Suddenly, you're juggling payments, feeling stuck. But here's the good news. You're not stuck. You just need a reset. At American Financing, they help homeowners like you every day. They use your home's equity and roll that high interest debt into one simple, affordable payment. They're saving homeowners an average of $800 a month. No judgment, no pressure, just real solutions that put you back in control. Imagine breathing again, sleeping again, knowing your future is yours to shape. It starts with one phone call. It only takes 10 minutes to get started. There's no upfront fees, so it costs nothing to find out how much you can save. And if you start today, you might be able to delay your next two mortgage payments. American Financing's salary-based consultants are ready to listen, ready to help. Take back your peace of mind with American Financing. Call them today at 866-890-8434. That's 866-890-8434. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net/redacted. That is the place to go. AmericanFinancing.net/redacted. We got a few super chats. Just want to say thank you to Freakin' Mike. It says people only think of Epstein with sex trafficking. I think it gets much darker. Adrenochrome darker. Their evil is beyond our comprehension. Yes, freaking Mike, you're absolutely right. See, Homer Martinez says Ashgar is a company in Israel, and Ashgar are demons with Pakistan origin. You can't make this up. You want to go down another rabbit hole. John Dugan, an ex-Florida cop, info on Epstein exile into Russia. Thank you for that. Captain Patriot says, any word on that James O'Keefe story he's supposed to release sometime today? I thought it was like 3 p.m. Eastern time, but I've been live on the show here. I haven't seen it post. Again, Alex Jones said that he believed from James that it's the person responsible for the stonewalling inside the Trump administration is Pam Bondi. But again, that's Alex reporting on that. I don't know if that's true or if, James gave him the heads up on that. I would be surprised. Like if James is working on this big report, he's going to release it. Why would he call up? I don't know. Why would he call up Alex and be like, hey, here's my exclusive story. Why don't you report on it before I do? But maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's how it happened. Makes no sense to me, but who knows? Yeah, exactly. All right. Hey, we should let you guys know that we have a daily newsletter. It's totally free. If you come over to redacted.inc, you can sign up. It's delivered to your inbox first thing in the morning, so you can read it over your cup of coffee. We try to cover the big stories of the day that you might have missed while you were sleeping. What's going on in, India and Pakistan, what's happening with the war in Ukraine, what's happening with the Epstein files, what's happening with what's happening with the markets, gold surging, arguably the best asset in the world right now. We cover gold prices in there, silver prices. So get our free newsletter today. Just go to redacted.inc and sign up, and you'll receive a welcome email from us. Just might go to your spam folder. You just need to move it to your inbox and say that you want to receive it. And I should say thank you guys so much for subscribing. We've seen like a huge surge in subscribers here at Redacted. So thank you guys so much for sharing the show, it's free to subscribe. So whether you're on YouTube or on Rumble, just click that subscribe button or the follow button. I think it's called follow me or follow. I don't know. I can't keep track of it. They changed the names of it. It used to be subscribe, then they changed it to follow, then they changed it to, something else. So anyway, thank you guys for being a part of our community here every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be back tomorrow live at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And Natalie had to jump out right now and go pick up the kids at school. So thank you guys. That means it's our time to go. Have a great night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow, everyone.